Hey there, welcome to the live. As you pop in, please hit the like button. If you are on YouTube, welcome. Be sure to plug in any questions as well. Thank you guys that are coming in from Facebook. Got one person over on Twitch. Awesome. Okay, so plug in your questions, hit the like button as you come in. And I want to talk a little bit about it's really crazy today. If you're in the market, huge correction during the middle of the day, come back a little bit, or actually quite a bit. But I wanted to break down some of the things that are going on in the economy and how to think about private equity, especially as individuals and building out your portfolio. One of the things that I think people aren't necessarily aware of is, the reason that we saw a huge market correction today was a couple of things coming from the Fed and Janet Yellen basically saying two big things. One is obviously at some point rates are going to go up, like they can't stay at this rate. And when that happens, we'll likely see a major correction. And then the other thing is the California is already on the table, but there is a thought around taxing unrealized gains. And that is a huge thing. And I do think it's something that if we continue on the current path, I think the government will likely have to do it. And it's going to really hurt assets in a major way, especially assets, unfortunately, like Bitcoin. I'm a very big believer. I have a lot of it. And, I have my companies that are invested in it. But the reality is, once you understand the dynamics of the economy, the government pretty much has to do this. And so there are a couple of factors that are happening. Number one is that now, for the first time really in history, more and more our economy is built and thriving off of asset appreciation. And it's kind of this upward spiral where people benefit from appreciation, and then that brings in more people that want to benefit from that appreciation, which brings in more people that want to benefit from that appreciation. And the unfortunate thing is that any of those things that happen, that, like I just mentioned, them taxing that asset appreciation, something like the Fed rate, which has to go up at some point, going up, it will almost be this domino effect in a interesting way where right now. And I see questions come in. Thank you so much, Charlie. Sometimes I get into this and I don't explain kind of just from the most basic level. What's up, Darius? Thank you for popping in. So I got this question, just came in. Can you explain appreciation? So what we've seen since 2008 is the stock market has been steadily appreciating despite the economy in a lot of cases not being good. And now it's going from not that great to absolutely terrible when you look at the real metrics of the actual economy from 2008 to now. And so what we saw is a lot of companies take their money and their profits, and instead of investing and improving their company, they would invest in their stock. And then that makes the stock go up. But it's really the company's own money. And so it makes the stock go up, and then that attracts other investors who are like, oh, the stock's going up, I'm going to invest as well. And so they invest, and then the company has more money, and then they take that more money and they invest in buying back their own stock. And so it's been unprecedented. The amount of stock buyback that companies have done since 2008 until now has just never been done in the history of the stock market. And it used to be illegal. It used to be illegal for a company to buy their own stock because the idea is that you should be investing in your company. You should be hiring employees. You should be improving your product and offerings and offering new products or acquiring another business. And so once that law was gotten rid of, now they can just buy their own stock and don't have to do any of the work. And so there's been a very interesting thing and a move into assets. And if they were private equity assets, like what we talk about, and cash flowing assets, that would be really valuable for the business if they just went and acquired another business. But when they're essentially buying back their own company stock, when they're also buying, which, again, I benefited greatly when Tesla bought Bitcoin. I benefited greatly when MicroStrategies bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But what this signifies is these companies are basically saying, hey, all I have to do is go and buy some other asset that I only make money through appreciation. That means it's going up in value. And it doesn't add anything to my business. It's not a whole other company that adds cash flow to our bottom line. The only way we really benefit from this is its appreciation. And so, number one, we're moving to an economy that's built on appreciation. We have a ton of people that are out of work now. We have people that literally are trading for the first time. They're trading as for a living. More people than ever are now trading for a living, and those people are making money off of that asset appreciation. And so, number one, the government will eventually try to figure out more ways to get that money. If you have a big portion of the population now that before, the government is built off of getting their money quickly and getting it up front. And the reason that employees, which is the mass amount of people in America, are getting that money up front or taking that money out up front is because that's what makes the government work. Like they're getting that money, that payroll tax every 2 weeks, and it's going into the government's account. And so if you have more and more people that are trading, they're going to figure out how can we get some of this money. That's going to affect the value of these stocks, which will drive down, number one, some people may have to sell just to be able to pay that. And so you just have these kinds of things, and who knows which one, but most likely one of those things is going to happen. Their rates are going to go up. And then you just have all the other outside factors that can cause this domino effect. And I think it's really interesting and kind of the point to this, and I want to get to some of y'all's questions. But the interesting point to this is that while everybody is so focused on assets and trying to benefit from asset appreciation, nobody's paying attention to assets that are cash flowing. And so the multiples are slightly up when it comes to private equity, but nowhere near the expense of these assets that are based on appreciation. And so when we see the risks that are involved long term with those assets that depend on appreciation, it's one of the most important times in history to have private equity assets which produce cash flow as a part of your portfolio to protect you, because that money's gonna come in on a cash flow basis, regardless of what's happening with appreciation and depending on the next person to come in and increase the value. So we're seeing just really, really outrageous appreciation that has to pull back at some point. And, it's just having a conversation and figuring out how to share that thought with you guys is that in a time where there's so much money searching for assets that are kind of in that appreciation category, in a time where you have the stock market that, you look at those at a company like MicroStrategy, that now they're whole company really is built off of investing in Bitcoin. The business lost $7 million last year, but because they own Bitcoin and they had this asset that was appreciating, and they have maybe $2 billion in Bitcoin, but the company went from a valuation of like $2 billion to a valuation of $7 billion. And just absolutely outrageous, which also doesn't make sense because it's like, okay, if they got even $2 billion in Bitcoin, the company, you're basically, people are buying it to get exposure to Bitcoin, but you can literally just buy the Bitcoin. You're basically buying Bitcoin at 3 times the cost of just buying the Bitcoin. So you have some very interesting things. You have, companies doing what is the smart thing to do. The public companies are doing, my public company, we're talking about that we bought Bitcoin. Like, it's the smart thing to do. But you as an individual investor need to understand the games that are being played by some of these companies to kind of manipulate their value and their stock and all of that. And it's not building true value. When I talk about, going out and buying a subsidiary or investing in your company, those are things that create real value, hiring more employees, growing the business in a real way. But the stock market isn't rewarding that. The stock market is rewarding you just going out and buying some Bitcoin. The stock market is rewarding you saying, hey, we're going to buy back 1 million more shares of our own stock. Something that, like I said, used to be illegal. So this is something to be aware of. I do think that it is just, the most important time in history to have cash flowing private equity type of assets in your portfolio. And, obviously all this has been an amazing ride and we're still on it, but it will guaranteed come to an end. So you want to be prepared for that. All right, let's see what kind of questions y'all got coming in. What is up? Thanks for popping in, Mr. Osborne. Let me know if that answered your question as far as appreciation for shorty. What's up, Nathaniel? Thanks for coming in. Let's see. All right, we got this thought question. Your group organization that teaches the concepts of acquisition entrepreneurship is on my list of things to join for the purpose of self-investment. Yes, sir. I can't wait to join. Thanks for the videos. No problem at all. No problem at all. Silver Fox Forex Investments. Curious to hear what your thoughts are about all of this craziness that's going on. Just some tremendous opportunities in the market for sure, on the upside and the downside. Awesome. That did answer your question. Good deal. Good deal. All right. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts, any additional questions, and hopefully this was helpful for you guys.